Good morning, everybody. My name is Bobbie Richardson. I am a channeler, and today I will be channeling live with the chat bar open. So my team consists of something that my soul knows very closely, because all my life I have been visited by many, many different beings. So sometimes new beings can come in and go out, but there's a main core, and the main core is my soul tribe is Pleiadian and Arcturian, and I can connect very easily to source energy. I've connected to Gaia. So all sorts of different beings. Hey Mark, good to see you here. So the chat bar is open for questions, and whenever you ask a question, there will be you'll have to put like a capital question or something so that I can see it. But until then, there was a comment that I made last week after the last channeling, and I asked people for what topic they wanted to pull through, and there was a couple of topics there, but for some reason my team just wants it to be a lot freer than that. So the comments that came in and questions on topics were on crystalline bodies and portals, Atlantis. So we will be touching up on those anyway, but there has to be they want us to have more trust and feel into this new vibration of trust of how this all proceeds, how this all moves through. That's actually part of the journey itself, part of the ascension process, instead of having everything compartmentalized and logified and then predicted, because when we predict something with our logical brain, we're very narrowing that, and I can feel them already talking through me. So yeah, we are going to really bring them in. And also at the beginning of these videos, it might seem like I'm a little like just been me chatting, and then all of a sudden they really rush in. So it's like an engine revving for me, where I just become more and more open as I go along, especially when it's an hour channeling, and and there's not a lot of breaks or anything like that. So sometimes I'll come through. My higher self is very in alignment with them in the more ascended planes, and because I've always had a very strong connection to my soul, very empathic, highly empathic actually. So that connection allows me, my soul already knows them in a very strong way in those higher dimensions. We've worked together before, and the same with my partner that's come into my life recently. We've worked together before, and we're here to guide you through this ascension, through finding love within yourself and your authentic self, and also confirming to you that on the other side of the limited controlling logical reality that was pulled over us as an illusion, there is so much more. So we want to introduce some of those things that are in the new earth, and how to guide you through into that, what it actually feels like when you get there, how it can even look, although that is in a flux, because humanity has their own path that they will be going through, their own consciousness that will be going through, and even we might get surprised by where that kind of moves, because in the higher dimensions we've got our own set reality that we love and we've experienced, but humanity is now into the creative experience of learning, of gathering what they've learned in the past of the last thousands of years that they've gone through with their logic, and that even in itself had a very up and down. It kept on being chopped by those in charge, where they felt like they were losing power, and so they they manipulated the reality through the programming that they were pulling over the eyes of humanity. So they would reprogram humanity's consciousness through sabotaging and fear, and that ended up creating these very interesting Tartaria loops within the past. And so there would be civilizations that rose and fell and rose and fell and rose and fell through the past, even though logic was the thing that was dictating most of and being in control, because they needed to keep limiting us until we had learnt the lesson. But now we have learnt the lesson that we've learnt enough from logic. If we keep going on this path, we will start to really self-sabotage and slowly consume ourselves. And in that consuming of ourselves, we won't be able to, we will kill ourselves off. And so there is really one path to go for many that want to ascend into higher vibrations. That's why we have such a strong pull now to do this. And so in the past, us, as in myself and other souls that came here to help, we actually were just the observer of all of that. And then we realized to really dig in and help, we had to be born through onto Gaia through specific families that were in line with the lessons that we needed to learn, so that we can have a fuller understanding on how to lift humanity's consciousness up. Oh, they're really strong today. We're just going straight there, right? Morning, Joe. Morning, Mark. Morning, Annie. Good to see you guys. So, and it was really interesting this morning because I was very calm and I had this feeling of everything. It doesn't matter. I don't need to predict anything. I don't need to have channelings written up. I have a lot more faith at the moment, and I think it's because it was a clearing with the eclipse that just happened. I have to be in sync with the energies that are flowing. Even though I'm a soul that knows of higher dimensions, I still have to be in sync with the flowing of Gaia's energies that are coming through, how she interacts with her surroundings, with the moon that was an eclipse, with the sun and the energies that are pouring through the portal of the sun that are coming from the higher frequencies, because that's literally what was shown to Bobbie, to me, is that the shift is actually coming through the portal of the sun and bombarding us with new awarenesses, new frequencies to help awaken as well, which align with the ability for higher dimensional souls to be born around these times, to help flip humanity into realizing they do have the reins they've always had the reins to their own life. It's just that they didn't feel worthy enough to hold those reins, and so they looked outside of themselves through logic being dictating, because logic can only look outside itself to ask for somebody else to help guide them, and that was necessary for that lesson. So it wasn't anything menacing or that to begin with, although the way that they did it was to project fear into humanity's consciousness so that we stay a victim because of the lesson needing to be learnt. It's like humanity went through a deep healing of the shadow self for eons. So before that was the Atlantis Lemuria, but we wanted to learn to ground our energy more on Gaia, with Gaia, and have more of a creative outside of ourselves reality. And so the right hemisphere had to just subside for that to happen, and allow the logic that always did look outside itself for confirmation of reality to be in charge. Hey Debbie, hey Dave, hey Cherie, good to see you guys. Life and a bowl of cherries, love to see ya. It is a beautiful day today. It's a gorgeous day outside. Yeah, so there's a lot more light coming in my window this morning because I'm leaving this unit, but they actually chopped down all of the trees, which I had a little cry about because they're turning it into a concrete jungle. But then, we've got to learn to leave people to their own karmic reality and what they're creating. So they're really strong. I don't know if you can see the difference, but anyways, I just have a sip of my cup of tea. Okay, so they're wanting to bring up this new Earth scenario that will bring in the portals and all that sort of stuff as well, they're saying. I'm not sure where this is going, but let's see what happens. Any questions that you want to ask, just start with capitals so that I can know it's a question too. And if anyone wants to be a moderator for me, just put your hand up for that and I will keep you as a moderator. You don't have to be here all the time or anything like that, no pressure. I just need a few moderators. Let's see what's coming through. So now is the time that we're starting to, although there's been a massive clearing that just happened through the eclipse of the moon and finding out about repetitive patterns so that we can really nip them in the bud and go, you know what, I'm just not doing that anymore. I did bring this up in my tarot card reading that I just did. There is a clearing that's happening for humanity's consciousness, because when you stop focusing on something that you are trying to control outside of you and really has nothing to do with you. See, humanity's consciousness has been programmed to believe that they have to be responsible for everything that is even outside of their reality, through programming of the television and stuff. Oh, we have to be responsible for someone on the other side of the world that isn't even in our reality. And then all of a sudden that weight comes on our shoulders because we feel that we can only help those outside of us by actually by being in their reality. And what happens then is that you bring yourself in alignment to be in their reality. You have to fall into their lower consciousness and their lower vibration. So to be able to meet with them on the other side of the world to help them, even if you are still on this side of the world, you have to lower your vibration to be there, to say that I want to help. And then in the end, you're actually fueling the program of humanity being victimized in a victimized state of mind. So many people that start focusing in on the problems that are happening that's not even in their immediate reality, fuel more of that on Gaia. So Gaia is heavier with being in a victimized state of mind. Oh, a state of mind. Interesting that I said that. So to really generally help anybody and help Gaia lift into the higher frequencies and the higher dimensions, to help anyone, we want to show people that we can live on this reality in a higher frequency. What does that look like? It looks like it means that you are living the life that you really wanted, that you're bringing your own utopia on Earth, that you're seeing the universe as your universe, that you're seeing your reality as your reality, and you're stepping through it in a very happy manner that makes that means that everybody is in those people that are doing that work are in a consciousness that is grounding heaven on earth, so to speak. So that will help, because those that are in a victimized state of awareness will see glimpses of others that, well, why are they rich? And at first they might get jealous, and at first they might, because they're in a lower frequency, they might get angry and they might get jealous. But it's like it vibrates them even faster until they pop out of being victimized and recognizing that there is only one person that brought them into that reality, and that is themselves. And either through trying to help somebody else get out of theirs, or through believing in the system and in the program that was pulled over their eyes, that they needed to, that was the only reality that was in existence for them. So we have a opportunity here to vibrate higher. And someone was asking about crystalline bodies. Now, in other realities, in other higher dimensions, there are definitely those that reside in crystalline bodies, where they are more light frequencies and crystalline frequencies within themselves. Humanity is going up in a stage of vibrating higher, and when it's very similar to, they found in quantum physics, particles that would spin, and then that particle would spin so fast that it would pop out of existence. It never did. It was always there. It's just that the person that was observing it was too high a frequency for them to see any or observe anymore, and so it became in existence. To them, it disappears. And that's the same with us when we start to move through life in a higher frequency. Those that are in a lower frequency that are trying to keep us low don't see us anymore. They don't even they don't observe us, because we have no fear of them. We know that we are equal to. There is no lower frequency that we should be in fear of, because why would you be in fear of something that is of a lower frequency than your happy state of consciousness? That's like making the pupil more experienced than the teacher. It doesn't gel. And so until we decide that we're open to helping those that want to help themselves, then when they get to a certain point of existence in their reality where they decided, I've had enough of this that I'm creating and I want to see beyond that, then they will see glimpses of us, and they will go, hang on a sec, those people over there are still living on Gaia, and they seem to be living in a utopia on Earth. And they're bringing me to people who, like teenagers, who will go around visiting all different islands, and they take movie clips, and have the drones coming over, and they have the beautiful music and stuff. That in itself is something that they could trip up over and go, why can't I have a reality like that? If those people didn't exist to begin with, that stepped out of the lower vibrations and into exploring Gaia as this beautiful planet outside of the restrictions, and created those beautiful realities, then how can somebody else see that there can be a utopia on Earth? I know they're bringing me to when I was, I keep going to say Bobbie, but I'll just say I was in a very looking at my own shadow self over the last 2 years, because I needed to do a lot of healing to be able to get to this stage where I could channel for you. I would binge watch this beautiful man who was over in England and Europe, and he would have his cat on his basket. One bike, I think it was called One World Bike or something, and he would have his cat in his basket, and he would travel even through many of the COVID restrictions. He would travel from one country to another over in Europe with his cat and his bike. And I was watching that and going, see, people are still living their own utopia. They're still able to live in a frequency that was high enough for them to have what they desired. They didn't They didn't want to feed into the limitations that most were feeding into. And it's to say that returning home and being a hermit for a while to do the shadow work isn't valuable as well, and that's what a lot of us did do. But he kept that ball alive for us to realize that we can be like water through the restrictions, because no sort of restriction can cover all bases. No logical restriction can cover all bases, because we are free sovereign beings at the core of ourselves. That is the essence, that's the truth of who we are. And so we will always find a loophole out if we decide to do that. If we make a conscious choice of, I am not going to feed my fear into that reality anymore. I'm going to feed my fear into what I want to create. Where do I want to go? What do I want to experience? How much fun do I want to have in my life? Who do I want in my reality that lifts me up and supports me? I want to bring that in. Well, stop giving your energy to those that keep on conducively bringing you down and making you feel small, making you feel like a victim. Wow, huge. Hey everybody, so we got Annie. Okay, I'll just read a couple of these things. If you notice you are slipping, best ways right now to get back to high vibration quickly. Good question, life as a bowl of cherries. It is in the knowing that you are slipping, for starters, that gives you that opportunity to slip out, to move out of it. We've been teaching Bobbie to do this. When she feels very and dense with the energies that are happening around, you can move through them, but only give yourself a certain amount of time. Say, I'm giving this an hour so I can figure out where I'm going with this negative energy that I don't want to feel and I don't want to bring in my life. I'm not going to give it a day. I'm not going to give it, something. You could, if you felt like it was something that really needed something real massive work. But if you feel like it's just a surface problem and you've like fallen back into that, give yourself an hour, feel into it a little bit. And then after the hour you go, that's it. I'm not going to give it any more attention. And that's when they taught me to put a default image in my mind. And so I would just go, I'm gonna, instead of focusing on the problem and on the issue, I'm going to trust that the issue is going to be sorted out, because I'm not going to focus in on it anymore. And so I would start to not thicken that neuron path within my brain, and I would start to focus in on what I chose, a sunflower. Don't choose something that's going to be you're emotionally attached to. You can choose anything in the world, but if you're emotionally attached to it, your logical brain can run it over. It can make it a problem. So choose something that you're not emotionally attached to. In other words, I chose a fluffy duck to begin with. That is one of the biggest lessons that I learned at the beginning of this journey. When I was 27, they led me to a gold bracelet that I dug up out of the sand on this random beach in the middle of nowhere, because I followed my guidance, and then they started to teach me how to do that. So that's one valuable way that you can just go, I could give myself an hour to feel into it, to see if I need to clear any issues. Use this to clear the issues. Even go through the emotions. Even sit in the shower and feel into the emotions. See if you can find the pattern within yourself of why this is reoccurring. But if you think it's just you as an empath tapping into many others that are feeling pretty sad and depressed, then that's up to you to go, you know what, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm literally going to take some deep breaths and start to, and it feels foreign to begin with, to really force your mind to not do what it's been programmed to do all your life. It feels foreign. It's like going to a gym and exercising an arm and exercising your body, and you get sore arms or whatever. So that's one valuable way. And in these times too, they're telling me something different. Hang on, something else is going to come through here. There's many, many ways that you can clear it, but that has to come from a core value of yourself, and understanding that you do not wish this reality to become in your field of existence. And in that decision itself, you might be led to a different way of clearing it very quickly. But if it doesn't clear, and if it doesn't clear quick enough for you, or you feel like there's obviously something that you have to address, it's there for purpose, for you to address something so that you can nip it in the bud and it not be a repetitive cycle over and over. Because if we just ignore everything that's happening when we're feeling in that way, we could be just moving through it and not actually getting to the core essence of why it's taking place. It does depend on what's happening with you, whether you are empathically just tapping into depressed people, or whether you are actually having to work on your own depression within your own self, your own consciousness. You'll get it, because when you do say enough's enough, another way that you're bringing up is if you feel like it's somebody attaching their energy to yours, and you're allowing that to come in, you can say no to that, no, and I'm going to imagine putting mirrors around me, and you can put mirrors on the inside, like a giant circle of mirror, or I usually see it as a 8-sided mirror, and up and down as well, like a tube. And then I imagine everything, I just say that's the mirror, that's where this energy stops. So if someone's pounding you with their energy, it can be reflected back to them, and then you'll find that if they're trying to bring bad luck on you, you'll find that they'll actually have that bad luck coming back to them. But if it's your own stuff, you'll still feel that issue, you still feel that problem. And so then you could say, oh, well, okay, I have to address this because I've still got this problem or this feeling within me, even though I've put my mirrors and my imagination up. Your imagination is way more powerful, and you can utilize it to clear and help create new realities as well. So we don't want to influence you on what you're going to create in the next dimension, because I think that humanity, with their greatness of their imagination, could bring such blessing to the whole of consciousness in creation. So we don't want to limit you with what we've created, but there are specific alignments with higher frequencies on Gaia herself, and she has those alignments are already in process of us with a clear mind and living within our own utopia of trusting and letting go enough to trust, living in that moment, living in our moments, and not having the anxiousness of the mind trying to predict the next moment. When we start to let go of that and live specifically in the moment all the time, be 100% with the people that you're relating to, that in essence will gift you a new awareness of how to bring in communities, those that are coming to you and magnetizing to you, that want to hear your gifts and share your wisdoms, and their trust between you, because you trust yourself, will start to bring in communities that are starting to work together with the flow of energies, rather than having a massive rule book that you tick off everything. It's just a natural flow. They're bringing me to Dalai Lama, who was it Dalai? No, it was Gandhi, sorry, a master anyway in his own right, who, and I'm sure Dalai Lama's done this too, but Gandhi, and he ended up having someone that was following him throughout his whole journey. And then there came a time where he just went, the energies are not conducive for you to follow. You need to go find your own path. And he loved him very much. And he knew that was the moment to let that person go on their own journey. And they were ascended in their own right to be able to break off and move into their own journey. But there's no paperwork. There's no, you had a contract with me. You're now breaking it. I'm going to take you to court. None of that would exist in this new reality. It's more of a trust of us working with the energies and the flow of what's happening. And so new communities will be built on trust within ourselves in this higher frequency of knowing who we are, and that each of us have something to give and to receive in the community at the moment. And it could be for a lifetime, many lifetimes, or it could be for an instant, it could be for a week, could be for a day, but there's no contracts needed because that's a limited that going back to the old program of limiting our experiencing, and often when that happens, we're pushing through something that should have ended ages ago anyway. Okay, what else is coming up? Let's take another sip of tea. So yeah, the development of new realities that are coming through with Gaia herself is going to open up a lot more within the consciousness of humanity, where once we were not connected telepathically, and many out in the lower frequencies have a fear around telepathy because they're scared that someone's going to be able to read their mind. Well, we wouldn't even worry about someone connecting with us in an energetic way and being able to read your mind, because truth is truth. It's just an existence of who we are. There is no worries about that. An empath in these days, a high empath, can feel whether you're jealous, whether you're in fear of them, or whatever anyway. So it's already in existence. They're bringing me back to when I had experiences of working with a Cherokee elder, and the elder held my hand and talked to me for over an hour telepathically, and that connection was just through the essence of love of ourselves and our connection of our souls. It was only love that existed, and so there is no fear of we were one. So my feelings of what I've gone through, she wanted to know, she wanted to feel into that, and so she felt into what I had experienced and have a greater understanding and a great empathy, a greater compassion for me after that as well. So yeah. Okay, somebody is trying to self-sabotage you in your reality too, in these higher when you move into higher frequencies, you'll always it's not like you'll catch them straight away, but it won't be enough to be able to wobble you off your seat. So don't worry about any of that. When you don't bring focus into something, it falls away naturally in these new energies anyway. It won't have a bearing on your growth. It's almost like seeing things present around you that are trying to get at you, and you're just like, it's okay. Go to yourself somewhere else. It's not to do with me. Interesting. Anyway, sometimes I think that they're bringing in personal messages for people as well while I'm channeling. So especially people that are on the chat bar too. Okay, bringing us back to the crystalline bodies. I'm not sure if we really dug into that. So there's beings that are higher frequency that have those crystalline bodies. That's right. And then there's humanity who are moving up into higher frequencies where every atom within their body is moving in a faster speed through joy, through happiness, through the love of themselves. those that are in lower frequency, denser, limited fear-based frequency, won't even want to be present around those that are of higher frequency anyway until they're ready to step out of that. And so they're bringing me to a book called The 12th Insight. That is very close to, but it's not. It is close to what is will be experienced, but there's a more grounded reality that's been created with humanity's consciousness being involved in it. It was like a guide. And in the higher frequencies, we start to become more aware of Gaia as a living being, and she will be able to converse with us through dream state as well, and lead us to places that have those of higher consciousness that have cave-like structures, and they used to do this in the old days, where there'd be gatherings within specific vibrational meeting places where chanting would it would connect with your pineal gland. The pineal gland would switch into patterns of somatic patterns, and then would flip into a light frequency through the chemical release of DMT, and then they would be able to communicate not just as in telepathy, but literally have a experience outside of their norm, meeting with other higher dimensional beings. There was usually one chosen to have the experience, although now that we're all stepping into that higher frequency, it becomes part of an entanglement where their reality starts to entangle with us. Those that are already existing on Gaia herself in a higher frequency are starting to entangle with us. They're showing me like a tunnel going into the earth, into Gaia, and splitting into two places. And if you were in a lower frequency, you would naturally you would be in alignment with going through to that would freak you out and scare you. But if you were in a higher frequency, you would naturally take the path or be led to the place that was of higher frequency beings that already reside either within Gaia herself and on Gaia in a higher frequency. In those places too, in the higher ones, we don't have fencing. There's no need for any of that. There's no fencing. Every animal is free to be able to come and go in a vibrational meet with where there's no pets. It's just a unified experience with those animals that want to be around us, just like we're magnetizing soul tribes and stuff. And then there will be those that want to experience a life as a human and be quite happy to pass their body on through to humanity's consciousness, depending on on what humanity desires, whether they still, because there's going to be all these different fractions of creative realities, and none of them should be judged, because there is a natural consuming and growth that happens within the vortex of creation itself. Even a tree will consume its dead leaves and its apples and everything. Natural consuming that happens naturally. So it's more to do with a vibrational meet of that animal says in their soul, I want to experience being human. To do that, if they are consumed by a human, then they have more a quicker, a faster track to become born as human. in the next life too. So there's all these new nuances that happen within humanity's consciousness that might, in a lower density, in a fear-based density, be seen as a fear-based scenario or a judgmental call. But in the higher frequencies, they are more in line with the natural consuming and growth of experiencing life itself. See what else comes through. Some of these subjects could be a bit touchy too, but I'm very, very well aware of that. So I'm like, how far do I go down those subjects? Interesting. What else have we got today? Okay, let's get back to okay, so there will be, so there's some topics that cannot be discussed just at the moment, and it's probably best not, okay, they're bringing this up. It's probably best not to discuss them. It's almost like those rules that have been created by those that want to control are actually funneling us into only focusing in on what we want to create, which is actually a blessing in itself, because we could relate to you what's going to happen within all sorts of other, like the leadership and that is controlling humanity now, and go down that path. But because of the rules that they've pulled over humanity, it's actually not a bad thing, because they're saying, no, you can't say that, you can't do that, you can't. And so our focus ends up being on something that we want to really generally create. And that is, let's step into what a new earth is going to look like for you. And this is going to be a personalized utopia for you. And there's so much more, because if you can look into your imagination and have a scope of what you could imagine, even when you were a little child, what this world could be like, how, if that could be grounded on Gaia through the start of a thought and an imagination or thought, and then to start to say, well, that's where I see home as, and I want to ground that, and then you let it go and keep on with your day-to-day experiences. Slowly but surely you will start to clear all the shadow aspects that held you bound to not being able to experience that. Slowly but surely you'll start to see glimpses of that reality creeping through in your reality. And this could go over generations, but it can also happen in one lifetime, depending on the higher level of consciousness of the soul that's experiencing it. As above, so below, we often discover growth, the new through the creation of Christ, or restriction. It appears we are an expression of that process for source. We often discover growth. Sorry, I have to get in my logical brain to be able to read, so I'm reading it twice. The new through the creation of Christ, restriction appears we are expression of the process of source. Well, we are expression of source. We are source energy. That's who we are. We choose the bodies that we are born into. We choose the parents that we have to move through losing ourselves in a specific manner to be able to find our strength within that manner, within that we chose, that fear-based scenario, that limited consciousness that we chose is where we find our strength, because when we push through it, we find that we are way stronger within that. Bobbie was born in a family that couldn't show nurturing and love. And what am I now? I'm one that wants to nurture and love the whole entire earth, humanity's consciousness and everything in my reality. So because I burst through it, I am the strength of what I'm expressing itself and going on an adventure, to create something new, learning to create outside of us, learning to see what balances with us and what doesn't, feel into restriction and then feel into expansiveness. It's all part of the same beautiful creation. It's only when we judge and condemn ourselves for being that it becomes stuck in a loop. But once we accept, we are all of our emotions. You know, they're bringing me to Snow White now, the Seven Dwarfs. She was all of those emotions, and that's why they were reflecting. She was everything. She was the queen, the evil queen. She was everything in her reality, and that was her mirror. They keep bringing up a mirror in my reality. If your reality is truly happy within the core of who you are, then that is what everyone will be reflecting back. You will see that, and all others won't be able to see you as that. That are in a lower fear-based reality. But if you go into the mirror, look into a mirror, and then have a very concerned, judgmental point of view, then that's what's going to keep coming back at you. Your own judgments through others, through those that you love, will keep coming back at you. So it is only within ourselves that we can shift. You might have a partner that's going through an issue. It's got nothing to do with you changing him on the outside. And Bobbie tends to fall into this pattern sometimes too, because I want to help so much so that it's got nothing to do with that. And I keep bringing myself back to myself, because that's what my guidance keeps telling me to do. Don't try to change somebody else. What do you change within yourself? And when you shift that, then you shift them. It just naturally happens. It's not that the person is. It's kind of like if you were grasping for somebody to be with you, and then they felt that pull of, I don't want to be with them when they want me to be with them, but I do want to be with them. And then there's this kind of happening. As soon as the person who's grasping lets go of grasping and just trust in their own essence to magnetize the right person to them, this person will naturally want to be with them. And then there's a flow of, it's interesting. My daughter is married to a severe narcissistic person, terrible journey for 20 years, life stories. Okay, yeah. The reading side of it, I usually do readings in that on Tuesday with the tarots and stuff like that for specific personal things. This is all to do with Ascension process and how we can step into what it looks like in the new earth, and how we're going to be communicating with other dimensional beings and stuff like that. So that kind of guidance I would prefer being asked on Tuesday. When I do personal chit chats with people. I do this all for free, by the way, guys. So don't come down on me when I make a choice of what questions I shall answer and what questions I shouldn't. And I'm not I don't feel bad either to ask a question and then I say no. Don't feel bad about it. It's all fine. I certainly feel bad about it. It just is what it is. This is the moment that we're talking about Ascension, the Ascension process of humanity, because I wanted to have a space specifically for us to understand our own journey of being able to move into something new. Will we wake up one morning and yeah, that's a good question, lady. So will we wake up one morning and just see our manifestation as that is? Now, that is an absolute. That can actually happen, right? But our logical brain stops us from that. Our logical mind has a specific program that it's running through so that we can have an enduring adventure and a fun adventure. and excitement and have the ups and downs to be able to get where we're going. So Bobbie wanted to manifest a home a year ago, and then within 1 year, now she has had this process of meeting her beloved man and then ending up having to turn. We're literally in the middle of, there's boxes around me right now. We're in the middle of process of moving. But if I just went one morning, boom, I'm going to be in this house that I really wanted to be in. It's like slipping into another dimension. It would be very confusing for the logical mind, because the logical mind is here specifically for us to have a story and something that has a progression. That is the beauty of the adventure of being human, so that we can ground it and have the experience itself. It's not to say that it's not possible. It's possible to go, but it has to be, there will be a point where the logic will feel very confused if it all of a sudden woke up in a reference where the logic will feel very confused if it all of a sudden woke up in a new house, and then you would logic your house, and then logic would end up self-sabotaging that, probably in a way of, I don't even know where I'm living. I'm going to go find my old home, even though this is the house that I really wanted to be in, but now I feel in a foreign place and I'm very confused. So we have to give honor and respect to the fact that humanity has two sides to the story. We have our intuition and we have our logic, and the story is valuable. That's the reason why we're born as human. But it's not to say that the story can't be quickened, right? In other words, it only took 1 year for Bobbie to be into the home that she loves, instead of like 10 years. Or it could be that you could win a lottery and then all of a sudden you are in, but there's still a story, that a logical story that takes you to that place. But absolutely, it can happen in real time. It can happen instantaneously, but we have to be able to process that. So sources mirror the way source understands self, and as source expands its understanding of self, all that is expands. Mirror on the wall. Well, the mirror is an absolute reflection. Everything in your reality is an absolute reflection of what you have accepted within yourself. If you hadn't accepted that you are a wealthy person, and then someone puts $50 beside you on a seat, then that mirror, so to speak, will not be seen. You will not see the $50. Even if it was a gift given to you, you will give it back, or you will, because your vibrational meet isn't with that abundance. And so it is the journey within that is more important than seeking something outside, because you could literally trip up over the outside reality and see that in the distance, right? And want to and say, that's what I really wanted to manifest. I'm going to walk up to it. And as you walk up to it, if you're not in a vibrational meet, you will trip up. You will have somebody blocking you. You will have this hoo-ha happening over here. Somebody's asking you for more money or something like that. And then the vibrational meet never really happens, because you weren't conducive with that to begin with. So that's why they're saying the inner self, and how you feel about who you are, and taking the reins of your own reality, and seeing yourself as a sovereign soul that is source energy itself, going on a beautiful journey, that everybody is equal in that respect. Then you start aligning yourself from the inside out, and the mirror much. Just seeing if there's anything else before. It does say I have unstable connection, so sorry about that, guys, especially on the replays if it gets a little I'm hoping that this new home that I'm moving into is going to have very stable connection for us all. see if they have anything else. They are, I can feel some of them pulling away now. You are always going to be in also reflection to the messages coming to you. Fear specific beings that work with you in that vibrational meet as well, not just in a human, the relationships that you have in human form. You're lining yourself up to, as you clear more, higher and higher frequencies, which brings in higher and higher wisdoms and understandings. And you'll start to know truth when you hear it. You'll start to know it with an absolute core belief of yourself. And that resonates in a way, in a manner that will guide you through to home, bringing utopia on earth, where you could literally have a glass house at the bottom of a mountain and know 100% that you are safe, because you are of value to this world. And that's where we're going. We are learning to become of value to our own creation, to our own existence. So I'll leave you at that. Thank you so much, everybody, for being part of this journey. And I will be back next Thursday with another channel live. And on Tuesday, I have fun with some tarot and readings, personal readings, as well in the chat bar. So Tuesdays, usually between 7 and 7:30, I start. Usually I put a community notice up for that, and Thursdays as well. I also have a lot of channel messages that come in through the week, and I just randomly put them up on my website. So if you want to link into my website and become, by the way, so it's not just $3 a month for 6 months. It's, you know, we're going to have maybe some meetings and stuff like that. I think most people want to have some meetings that are in memberships. So we might do a once a month meet up on Zoom with each other, and look out for a few other things that are coming on my personal YouTube page. I have a real pull to do a few more things. I might actually start a trailer for the beginning of these lives as well. Anyway, love you guys heaps. Also look out for my original music. That's on my artwork. I'm an artist, I'm a muso. I put my own videos together. Every bit of work that is on my YouTube is my work. I have done everything. I do grab free images off the internet and work with them, and free music as well, but I put it all together through my guides and the channel messages that come through. Love you guys so much, and have a fantastic week. Until next time. Bye.